So you remember all these times, do you? All these...
I do indeed, yeah. I remember the recounts in Nicky Kelly one, 2002, I think.
2002, yeah, I thought it was 7. God, the way it all meshes into one. Anyway, tell us about this one-year initiative that you've come up with.
Right, the one-year initiative is something really close to my heart. It's a grassroots campaign, basically, to introduce people-initiated referendums into the Irish political system. So people vote and then they wonder why nothing changes because, basically this is going to be a process to change the whole political system from the foundations up, basically to bring about a kind of truer democracy. So I think a lot of people in Ireland don't actually feel that we have a true democracy. We ask for change and nothing happens. People vote and nothing changes. So the one-year initiative is a process to change the political system. And I'm going to try and explain it to you now. It just takes a little bit of time.
Is it like Switzerland where things are put out to... people?
I'll explain it to you now. It's really amazing. It really gets my passion flowing, So the one-year initiative basically are looking for a signed declaration from all candidates that are running in the general election that in the event they're elected, they will call for and support and approve. Firstly, after 6 months, they'll call a People's Assembly for democratic reform, and that will be a group of 100 people from all walks of life, from every constituency. And what this means is that within 6 months of the next government taking office, a People's Assembly will be formed to devise a mechanism for people-initiated referendums. In other words, this is kind of preparation work in the first 6 months. And there will be 2 types of initiated referendums. So there will be public citizen power to veto. So that means that it would give people the power to initiate and trigger a referendum to prevent or block what we believe is poor legislation. And then there'd be a public citizens initiative, which would be an instrument so that people could initiate or trigger a referendum. So, for example, with the water charges, if there was enough people, which there would have been, we could have called for a referendum to introduce new legislation or constitutional amendments without waiting on government consent. So that's the first 6 months would be the People's Assembly to discuss those 2 things. Then the second part would be calling for an actual referendum to put this democratic reform into action. So a year from the date that the Assembly is formed, that a referendum will be held in our country, and the people will vote to decide if they want this mechanism for people-initiated referendums, and it would then be put into the Irish Constitution if it was passed. So basically, at the end of the day, this is a way of giving power back to the people and making politicians accountable. So
there's a couple of
that.
Yeah, but hold on.
You vote for someone who doesn't sign it?
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying?
And you've got 120 people who've signed it. But don't we elect the politicians to make the decisions for us? Isn't that the nature of what we do?
We do, but the thing is, what's happened with the water charges is we've all made our voices heard in mass demonstrations all over the country by mass boycott of payment of the bills, and no one's listening to us. Now, the government, at the end of the day, we pay elected representatives wages. Do you know what I mean? They're working for us. But if you employ someone and they don't do the job you're asking them to do, you have to bring them in and say, no, this is the way you have to do it. So that's what we're asking for. It just gives the people a voice. It gives them true democracy. And that's basically what we're wanting.
You probably get loads of people, though, voting for that referendum on the water charges because they don't want to pay tax. So you basically have, nobody likes to pay tax. So then you would have a referendum, we don't want to pay tax, and it'll be passed.
That's not the way it's proved to work in Switzerland. I think you're kind of underestimating people's, ability to be realistic about what they have and have not to do. We know we all have to pay tax. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about massive issues, and you would need a huge majority of people to say, look, we want to call a referendum. It's not going to be 20 people sitting there, I don't want to pay, such and such, or I don't think this is good legislation.
And if 120 candidates are...
If 120 candidates have signed up already, like just to give you an example of some of the TDs that have signed up, we've got Matthew McGrath, then Tippett, Claire Daly, Mick Wallace, Paul Murphy, John Collins, Richard Boyd Barrett, Ruth Coppinger. In Wicklow, we have 3 candidates that have signed up so far. That's Anna Doyle and Sharon Briggs for People Before Profit and John Brady for Sinn Féin. I think it's an amazing initiative, and I personally won't be voting for anyone that doesn't sign the declaration.
Okay. Well, listen, we'll talk about it again, Maureen. I've got to leave it there. We're a little bit older. That's my fault, I'm afraid. But we got the message across.
Can I just also say that there's a meeting on about the 1 year initiative tonight in the Leitrim Lounge at 8 p.m. And if anyone wants to get more clarification about what it's about, what's involved in it, and if they'd like to, just come down and have a listen. We're going to be having a presentation with a representative from the 1 year initiative, giving a slideshow and everything in the Leitrim at 8 p.m. So we'd ask that everyone comes to that. And also, the march in Dublin is on the 26th, Saturday the 26th. That's Saturday week, I think. Saturday 2 weeks. No, sorry, the election is on the 26th, and our march will be on the 20th, Saturday the 20th, which is Saturday week.
Fair enough, Maureen.
So
Thank you.
We're asking for everyone to go to Dublin for that march on the 20th. The Right to Change, Right to Water march in Dublin on the 20th of this month.
Maureen Griffin from Wicklow Right to Water. Thanks very much indeed, Maureen.
Okay,
we'll keep in context. If you have any views about a sort of a citizen's idea to...